Welcome to This Week in Pulling, the show that brings you all the action from the world of tractor and truck pulling. I'm Dan Mayer, joined by Jeremy and Miles Krieger, and each week we'll dive into the latest highlights, breaking news, and behind-the-scenes stories from the sport we all love. From upcoming events, standout performances, and the rich history that shaped pulling into what it is today, we've got you covered. So buckle up, This Week in Pulling starts now. Well, good afternoon and welcome. This Week in Pulling, episode number 19. How are you doing, guys?
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor. Always a pleasure to see you again, sir. And happy pulling week. I know you guys had a busy week last week and another busy week of pulling coming this weekend for everybody.
Yeah, everybody staying cool?
Trying to.
See, I've got a sweatshirt on, but it's cold in my office. So, put the hoodie on and stay warm for a little while, even though it's heat index warnings outside.
Yeah, it's pretty steamy out there in southern Indiana right now. But, well, guys, we're in the heat of the summer here for pulling action. And, boy, it's been wild and woolly. And what the last couple of weekends have been a lot going on.
Yes,
For
sir.
sure. Absolutely. Pulling season is in full swing.
I mean, pretty much you can see pretty much a pull any time of the week now. Fair season's upon us, and a lot of the regional events are going on in some of the Midwest region pulls. And, the Outlaws have their Heartland series as well going full strong. And, yeah, it's just pretty amazing when you look at, the live stream there with the Full Pull Live and, what the events that are going on. And I didn't realize that the Outlaws had that many, during the week like they do. And it's
Sure.
just crazy. It's pretty interesting.
Well, and we're kind of in the middle of like everywhere now, regional. Like, I know when you were up in Ohio a couple weeks ago, you had a couple weekend weeknight pulls at OSTPA kind of stuff. So yeah, here we go. Like it's starting to happen, and things are getting busier and busier and busier. And I can't believe we're like less than a month from Bowling Green now. Like it's crazy.
I know somebody said 1st of August next week already. It's like, you gotta be kidding me. But it seems like, usually July 4th comes along, and once you hit July 4th, everything goes into, fast forward. And we're here already. I mean, already 1 week away. We're, this weekend, Fort Recovery already, and, Brandenburg's this weekend. And now I have an interesting thing with Brandenburg next year, that it moves back a week. Now, Greg Randall was telling me that something with it's going to be up against Chapel Hill. Is that right?
That's kind of, if you do the math, yes.
Okay.
I think every so often, like every 3 years or every 4 or 5. Okay, every 5, it's on top of Chapel Hill.
Okay, so yeah, I'm kind of like, yeah. He mentioned about how everything goes off of Labor Day weekend, and that's how that all works. But I was like, oh, okay, that's
how Jeremy and I actually ended up getting into Brandenburg. His dad had to choose, and he went to Chapel Hill.
Right.
And then Jeremy and I went to Brandenburg that particular year. And then from there, either he or I, which it's been him probably now for the last almost 10 years, because I started going to Fort with after Dad stopped. I started going to Fort. Jeremy went to Brandenburg. So
Cecilia will be 8, and you announced the pull the weekend she was born, because
That's
I
right.
did not. So this is 8.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah, that coming up this weekend. So, guys, last weekend, Chapel Hill,
6
Tennessee.
months from today, we will have just finished Farm Show.
Wow.
Or coming up, I guess it's 7 months probably, if you do the math. You're in July, so 7 months from today.
Wow, I thought, yeah, that's true. We are.
August 22nd is
August
actually
22nd
6 month
will
block
be,
here. We're on the, which I got to give a shout out. It's my wife's birthday too. So
Happy birthday.
Well, happy birthday. Yeah. Happy birthday. See, I thought that was going to be a Jeremy. Don't you usually with the Christmas? Aren't you usually 6 months till Christmas, or
Yeah.
the
we'll shout that out in June.
countdown or something? I usually
Yeah,
say.
well, we'll talk about so in my family we celebrate half birthdays. Since I got my wife, we started doing that. Like that's a big thing that her family has always done. So my half birthday is August the 15th. And I am always, having a birthday farm show week. So 6 months, in August. The 15th of August will actually be, so next year, 26, I will be 50, and the 15th falls on Sunday after the Farm Machinery Show. So Valentine's Day will be Super Saturday night this coming in 2026.
Oh, okay. All right.
So it goes 12, 13, 14, 15. What'd you say?
Nothing, you just ignored it.
Yeah. We're not there yet, Pally. We'll be there in February. We got 6 months to
just another day. That's all it is. Just another day.
Yeah.
Just another day. It comes in. But it's kind of neat though. Toma celebrated 50 and then Chapel Hill celebrated 50, and that's, I guess it's the year of. So let's dive into this last weekend down in Chapel Hill, Tennessee. We'll start there first. You guys were down in Henry, Illinois, or I should say up in Henry, Illinois, now that we're located where we are. But
sure.
Chapel Hill, Tennessee, the hottest pull in the South once again, the Lions Super Pull of the South. And the big question going into the week was all the entries and how was that all going to work out? Well, Friday night, Mother Nature just said, we ain't going to have it. She was like wringing out a sponge. She was just, there was that last storm that got us, literally was going, heading northeast, and it just stopped and went completely south and right into Chapel Hill. And that was it for them for Friday night show. Let's see, we got the Unlimiteds done. We got the Diesel Supers done. And that was pretty much about it. We got the Minis. The Minis had, there was 5 tractors out the end, and they didn't get to go to a pull off there. And we started the diesel trucks. They were there for the exhibition, and it rained during them. And that was pretty much it for Friday night. But good crowd for Friday night. Folks came out, and, the weather wasn't as favorable as it, would like to be, but unfortunately. And then Saturday, they had a big storm during the day about noon or so. I think you guys had about the same storm. I think kind of went through everywhere.
Right.
And for Saturday night show, but after that it cleared out, and had a beautiful night for pulling Saturday night. So it was a controversial night, but it was a lot of fun.
Now, first, did the weather coming through Saturday affect the temperatures at all? Like, did it just get more sticky and hot and even more
got hotter? It just, when you thought it couldn't get any hotter, it just, once that sun came back out, and it just got worse. It was the muggiest weekend that in Chapel Hill that, it was far worse than last year. I can say that. Sure. Last year the nights weren't as bad, but this year it was just turn on the heat, and it was sticky all weekend. But going back to the Saturday night controversy there with the diesel super stock class. Now, the drivers' meeting, Marvin had said floating finish line for all classes for Saturday night with the, we almost had, I think we were down below 90, I think, for Saturday night with some of the scratches from Friday night. And he had said that going to run a floating finish, and really wasn't an issue up until the diesel super class, the last class of the night. And really wasn't an issue until the last tractor of the night. And that was Mr. Brandon Hunt, and coming off his big win on Friday night, and he laid down another monster pass. But we had a situation where Colin Ross with the triple bypass earlier in the night, he had a monster pass, and they flagged him. And then, then they said that they had flagged Brandon as well. So that's kind of where, we had one tractor or 3 tractors over that 350 mark. But that really didn't go into effect because he mentioned it was a floating finish. So you take that out of the equation, because Ken Payne technically went 354, but running the floating finish. But those 2 tractors were just heads and tails above the rest. It's going to be an interesting summer if they can keep them up and going.
And so, as I understand it, they just pushed. They split the points. They split the purse, and they walked away from Chapel Hill.
Yeah, it was, it took a little bit of time for them to decide what the final verdict was. And, it was, some of the folks were looking for full pull, the fans were looking for a pull off. But like you say, it was, that's the what I got from Marvin is they ran a floating finish, and both competitors were flagged. My point goes back to, can you run a floating finish line at like a place like Chapel Hill? I mean, you don't really have a lot of runoff room. I mean, what's some of the furthest distance you guys remember? I mean, down there, it's not that far, right?
Yeah, I mean, Brandon's 386 was equal to where when Rob Brussel and the Pro Stocks were doing it, Esden Limke did it. You think about it, I mean, as they get to what they've worked and where they're at on that 380, 385 threshold, they're no longer on the pulling surface. They've now pulled down onto that next layer, and they're getting closer to the barrels. I'm going to say those barrels are probably 450, 440.
Okay.
But yeah, like the actual worked track ends at 375 to 380 feet. If Brandon would have kept going, if Colin would have kept going, they'd have been on the tarp. I have some conflicting thought process in all of this. I think when you start to truly evaluate it, I'm not going to pick a side in either regard in how all this worked out, because quite honestly, the two parties involved are two of my closest friends in this world, and I truly appreciate the both of them. What I do understand is, and this is where it kind of comes down to play, is if they were both flagged, then they have to make a decision. And if you go into it, especially in the diesel superstock class right now, where longevity doesn't really exist, the idea of finishing right at the end of the track and then having to fire right back up and come right back into a pull-off, that's a pretty daunting thing, especially when you're hoping to be able to get a couple more passes on that tractor over the course of the summer. Now, for Colin and Jody, they stayed up all night and they built that tractor back after hurting it on Friday night. So, did they want to do that again? I don't know. I know Colin and Jody well enough to know that they want to win, and I think they probably would have come back to the line. I think Brandon would have come back to the line, but I think for that discussion, when they were in that conversation, it was a suggestion of, hey, let's just split it. And by that point, sadly enough, there were no fans in the stands.
No,
there was nobody there anymore. And at which point you'd have fired them up. You would have simply been pulling to determine the winner. And maybe that's the goal. Maybe that's the goal of what we're trying to do is we're trying to determine the winner. And in that particular instance, Colin backed out of it at 381. Brandon was flagged. I didn't think originally Brandon was flagged as I was watching it, but he was indeed flagged. But he's past the flagman when the red flag's out. So I don't know if Brandon saw that flag. But truth of the matter is there were a lot of things that kind of factored into that too. A new finish line flagman, and I'm not picking on any of the people involved in that. I'm just simply saying, if Scott's there, does that change how things are done and sort of what that process is? From the sled setting perspective, I don't think you could have changed anything, because if you'd have put a block in or you would have changed anything, you were going to take away from the show. Those two tractors are performing very, very well, and it's not taking anything away from Kent or Travis or any of these folks, but you kind of expect that if Brandon and Colin are on, they're both going to be a little ahead.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't know what the remedy is, and I don't know what the answer is, short of, if they went into it with the thought process of floating, then they probably shouldn't have been flagged, and let's go.
Right. But then you get into the problem of safety, like you said, to run a floating finish line, I would think you would have to have a decent amount of runoff area for
sure
to go there. I mean, you've got the scoreboard right there. You've got, folks really right behind that trailer there in that soccer field, that were standing there watching the pull on the backside of the big screen there. So, I mean, that, there's another situation where I don't think there's enough room to do it. That's just my personal opinion. But, if you're going to say we're going to run a floating finish, that's, these pullers they're not looking for the flagman to,
right.
It out, so
and that was my whole question. Like, okay, if you're running a floating finish and the flagman throws a flag, then the pull's over. Like that's the way it works. Like, there's no such thing as flagging. Like, if you're running a floating finish, you pull it as far as you can. When the red flag flies, that's the pull. Right. At least that's what I thought. But I guess in this particular case, because someone was getting out of it or thought they needed to get out of it because they were seeing the flag, then that's where the confusion lies. But I guess to me, if you have a true floating finish, at least in the purest sense of what a floating finish is, you pull them as far as you can.
Right. Which leads us back to the debate about, having pull-offs,
Right.
and where do you set that full pull mark at 350? The track's measured out to 350, and do you just go with that, or but like you say, you start getting into a scenario like we had down there with the amount of entries. I mean, we're already
Right.
into 1 o'clock in the morning.
Well, into the early morning for sure.
Yeah,
the crowd was mostly gone.
Yeah. But a lot, I was impressed. A lot of them had stuck around. I mean, I think they wanted to see Brandon Hunt run. I think that
they will stay. There's no question. They're loyal, and I think they're smart. I mean, I don't mean this in a derogatory state, but I think they're smart having one of those classes run late, be it pro stock or super stock. The 4-wheel drive truck class doesn't keep them as well as the tractor classes would, and I don't know. I hate it. I hate the situation. I hate that it occurred.
Sure.
I know there was some discussion about the mini rod pull off from Friday night and how that was really going to occur and sort of what the scenario was there. And it brought up some questions as well. And the reality of it is right now we're all just kind of living in the moment. We're accepting what's coming, and be it Mother Nature and the challenges that we're experiencing from Mother Nature, like you guys had Friday night at Chapel Hill, like we had at Toma, on Thursday. And then there's other factors that are completely out of our control with sleds and that sort of stuff. So I think there's a whole lot of effort going in, and right now we're all trying to figure out how we, put policies and procedures in place to prevent problems from occurring like we have.
Right. And I think that's moving forward. I mean, that's what has to happen. I mean, this, we had talked about, last week about maybe limiting the amount of Grand National entries at different pulls. Now we're talking this week, Brandenburg, we're back to another single track. And I think we figured there was about 85 or 86 hooks, right around that point for this coming week. And
Sure.
That's another big show. I mean, I think every class has got over 20 entries, and the 4-wheel drives have about 26 or so. So, I mean, that's a pretty big show for single track.
Yeah, substantial amount. I understand that they'll have the telehandler again. They did that last year, and that improved an hour or so off of the Saturday night show. They did not use it early in the first session, but good. If they have that, I think we'll be good. And Marvin is familiar with that pull. I don't know if he'll be there or at the fort. I'm not sure where they're sending him, but I know he was there last year. And so he's well aware of what needs to happen and how it all needs to work there in such tight quarters. Because like you said, that the arena is big, but it's super tight getting in and out of there. So you got to make sure that you bring some out and bring some in and have them staged in a spot that's safe.
Yeah, I think Marvin had told me he was going to be in Brandenburg again this year.
Okay.
And Jim Miller was going to be running pretty much the show up there in Fort. So what he told me last week there. But you never know. But like they say, it's a good problem to have. I mean, that amount of entries, at an event, and that's. I mean, heck, I'll sit and watch 21 light supers any day of the week. That's and some great fields, and I like I say, that I guess it's a good problem to have. And there's been times when you struggle to get 10 particular class. So I guess it's a double-edged sword, I guess you would call it.
Yeah, it's good trouble. There's no question about it.
Right.
And I think as time goes by, we'll adapt. Just like how often do you see the situations that you see now? Next year at Chapel Hill or next year wherever. We will adapt. We learn things. We go and we learn. We do, and the show gets better. And I think I'm excited for the Meade County Fair coming up. I'm happy to be back there again. And like I say, 80, 85 is, I think that's close to where we were last year. I think we had around 31 two-wheelers there last year. So, 26 4-wheel drives is kind of a walk in the park,
Yeah. So that's what at least the entry show. And we'll talk a little bit about that as we go on here. But that's the only list that was able to come out so far. I haven't got the Fort Recovery list yet. So I think they're still working on that. But yeah, like you say, just entries this year have been, very impressive. And it's, a lot of folks that coming out now. If you look at like the light super class here, actually, I'll might as well. I'm talking about it. Might as well show it, right?
Yeah, please.
We might as well go and share that and show. There's some interesting folks on there that we haven't seen in a little bit. And let's take a look here. All right, maybe we'll do that another time, maybe. Okay, technical difficulty. I'll have to go back to that. But
well, that's okay. Well, I mean, you'll get to see them here. We'll have them posted, and everybody will be able to see them here pretty soon. So, the usual suspects. If you've got 26 4-wheel drives or somewhere around there, that means your points trucks are all going to arrive. You shouldn't pick up too many more outside of that realm. Light super stock, you're going to pick up, about 7 to 8 tractors who are not part of the points race, and then for the super farm, about the same, 6 to 7, and then from the pro stock class, that's about what we've had. So numbers are on par, and even Stevens pretty well with where we've been thus far this season. So, hopefully for Brandenburg's sake, you guys have a great show, Jeremy, and obviously for you, Dan, as you get ready to enter the first section of your big week.
Yeah, that's true. We got the Elkhart County Fair coming up Wednesday in Goshen. Always a great event up there, and Mr. Jessup and his crew are ready to go. I'm sure they've getting everything ready to go for 3 sessions up there, and we got a couple mod classes to run up there, and I think Super Stock Open or Unlimited Supers will run a couple times up there.
Semis.
Yeah, they run twice, or I can't remember. I was just trying to think which ones run twice up there. I know the minis run once, 2-wheelers run once, pro stocks run once. But yeah, great show if you're up that way, northern Indiana. It's going to be a great weekend for that. Thursday, 2 sessions during Thursday, and 1 session there on Wednesday night, and then we'll go into Fort Recovery on Friday. And Friday night we'll have a single session, and then Saturday 2 sessions, 1 o'clock, an afternoon session, and then the night show there. And it's kind of neat what they do at Fort Recovery with the afternoon session there. They usually run 1 or 2 Grand National classes, and the rest of it'll be like the regional classes, and the regional mods will come in. And
they had a great job last year. That was a great show.
Yeah, and always a neat class of modifieds come in and run with those regional competitors there. And Bargie's been running pretty strong with their twin turbines, so not too far from home for them. So yeah, it'll be should be a good weekend. Looking forward to it. What you guys? We talked about Jeremy being down Brandenburg. Miles, what do you got going on this weekend?
Well, I'm going to do some PPL pulling. So I get to do the live stream coverage on Friday night for Evansville. And then Saturday night, I'm going to go to Altamont and do the live PA and live stream all kind of in one for the Effingham County Fair. So Minnie's there, which ought to be pretty neat. Getting to see those guys for the first time, I think, at that event. And obviously, Jeremy and I got to go to Henry on Saturday, which was awesome. And while the numbers may not have been kind of what we've all become accustomed to with regard to, maybe closer to 90 hooks or something like that over the course of those 6 classes, we were closer to 60 hooks. But we had a great show, great competition. The track was a little bit tricky and a little bit soupy in the middle on the infield side for sure, which kind of made it a 1-lane game, similarly to what we talked about with last week's pulling. But certainly there were some awesome passes, and now we're underway in the points race for the mini division. And Tyler and Bruce, obviously with Tyler doing driving on both of those, swept the weekend 1-2, and now we're off to a start there. And by the time we see them in Altamont, they will have hooked several times because they hook in Goshen and they hook in Evansville as well before they make it to Altamont. So I think Altamont's the fifth hook. Do many hook twice maybe?
I think that'll be hook number 4 for him. I think because they hook
there we
was
go.
in
There we go. Yeah, I was just looking at that. I should know better. Superstock diesel trucks, Superstock Open, Hot Rod Semi, Light Pro, and modified tractors on Wednesday night up there. And then Thursday for the first sessions, I think it's I don't really know because it
usually
seems like
minis,
kind of like one big two-wheelers, minis, maybe super farm tractors or something
in the
like
afternoon,
that.
and then usually the nightcap is diesel trucks. They'll run those at night. Pro stocks, of course. Modified tractors will run at night. And
so it shows on here you've got mod tractors, minis, super farm, unlimited super stock diesel trucks, hot rod semis, pro stock tractors, light super, and super modified all on Saturday.
So they're in there. They're all in there one way or another. But it usually works out to about 4 classes in the afternoon, and then everything else kind of rolls into the night show there. So it's usually works out.
You'll have 6 then.
Yeah. So that'll be good. That'll be a good show, and that'll be PPL up and rolling.
Kevin Masterson got the win in the pro stock class. He surpassed his dad and Greg Boyd for all-time wins there at Henry. Believe it or not, I think that was Tyler's first win there, even though they've been so successful kind of in the mini class and such a staple on the PPL points race. That was his first win from what I can see. Kent Crowder doubled up and won his second America's Cup there. Limited Pro.
How about Aaron Hull? How about T-Cop? That was
very
fun to see him back up there on the stage. And
beautiful pass, and he just kind of kept trucking. He sort of just never let his tractor set into the dirt. He just kind of skimmed across the top of it, and that made a big difference. So kudos to him on that setup. And John Meyer Jr. was a winner in the limited pro stock, which was a very, very good class. And so, you think about all those. And Jeremy, I'm forgetting one. Oh, modified tractors, Jed Leischner.
Yeah, Jed Leischner.
Again.
Stop the streak.
Yeah, he had a heck of a pass with the dirt slinger. And, he that tractor there at Henry is just always tough. Like I think they three-peat. Now you go 3 years ago, it was Shannon and the X, and then, Jed's won the last 2 there. So, I mean, they're pretty tough. And Miles, coming out of Henry now, in the 95 Limited Pro, we're tied. The Hickory Hooker and John Meyer are now tied coming into the next event for first. So
points races are all tightening up, obviously, and that was a big deal there. And I will say Brandon's streak did come to an end. Kind of unfortunate for him that the pro stock tractor literally ran. And as soon as he got done, he parked the pro stock tractor. He got on a gator, and they brought him straight to the modified tractor. He got pulled over into the middle of the track, and he needed to be on that left chalk line. That's where Jed stayed, and Jed kind of worked the brake to stay there and made sure that his foot was on that left brake to massage that tractor over there. And similarly, Tyler said, he was just kind of gradually doing a little play with the brake to make sure that he stayed there. But, kind of a bummer in that instance, in the sense that
kind of sucked
Brandon drew back to back the way that if you were to play that game out 10 times over, you probably don't have that exact scenario. But he was literally, he parked the bootlegger and immediately went back to the end of the track and set the cone and jumped in the mod.
Yep.
And it was just him and Brad and maybe Jerry, or there weren't very many people with him to be able to do all that.
Yeah, that track would just, like Miles said, it was kind of a sippy hole in the middle, and you had to stay, away from that area, or you just, it would bog you, it would get to you. And I think, he still made a respectable pass. I think he was like 305 mid or something, but I think Jed was like 330, somewhere in there.
Yeah, the dirt slinger loves that dirt there, doesn't it?
Well, that's their hometown too. They're within 45 minutes of home there. So, Bill's had 6 wins there between the mini and the mod. Jed now has a couple, and Shannon has 1. And believe it or not, Abby hadn't won there yet, but give her time.
But kudos to the red shirts and to, John and Christy and all the crew. We ran them through, 3.5 hours. We very limited attrition. I think we had a couple of resets. We had a situation with a zip tie in the mini class a couple of times. But other than that, like it was good. It was pretty straightforward. We ran them through. Very limited breakage. I think the only breakage we saw, Miles, was at the tail end, like the Walsh tractor, popping a tire at the last, of an event there. That was it. I don't think we saw any, telehandlers or any major, needing to haul people away or get stuff off of the track. So it was a good show. It's really good.
You never see a Mitas look like a drag racing slick. Holy moly! I got to witness.
Hold it up on him.
It just completely swelled and then popped right off of the boom. Popped right off ripped all the bead off of the inside of it, and that was done.
Wow.
So it was unfortunate for sure. And he was maybe 140 feet, was one wheeling somewhat and kind of just spinning free wheel at the RPM level, and it just swelled and
then you heard it.
Nice pop.
Just popped like a balloon.
Popped like a balloon. Huh. Which one was that? The
red one.
The red one? Okay.
Yep.
So now there's the red, the green, and the yellow, right?
That's correct.
There's a green one now, right? That's gone back to I'm looking forward to seeing that at Goshen.
Yeah, there are 2 3-engined T64s, the red and the green, Veristem crop performance, and then the yellow one, of course, is the 4 aces, and it has the 2 Pratt & Whitney JT12.
Pratt & Whitney's, yep. Okay. Very cool. That's the one he's won with a couple times there with good deal. So now going back to Chapel Hill, one of the big stories was they had there's been a rule change with the competitor teammates hooking back to back. They kind of do what PPL does now with put a competitor in between them if there's 2 teammates back to back. So that's kind of neat that they've gone, that makes it a little easier for some of the teams there. And
a lot of engine swap and a lot of stuff happened there in that mini class too, right?
Oh yeah. That was we saw Kevin Campbell. He lost an engine there. Dave Kepfer, the Canadian, tough break for him. He lost an engine there on Friday night. Wasn't able to come on back. Kevin, I'm sure you saw the videos on social media. Them working under a tarp, trying to get in between the raindrops.
For sure.
Trying to get that replaced, and they were able to come back out and make a run. And so, like Saturday.
So that was Jeff's.
What's that?
That was Jeff's.
Yeah, that was all a big. So Jeff Hurd had purchased an engine from a Pro Mod guy, and they went and fired that engine up, and it was leaking like a sieve. So they pulled that out. They put Cody's engine in. Cody's tractor was there, but Cody was just going to drive the Chaos tractor, and it was kind of a big conglomerate of different things happening over there, but everybody, it all worked out, and everybody was able to get down there, that was the mini class was kind of there was kind of stuff happening all over the place there with that mini class, but
did you have any schmuckety?
I did actually on Friday night before the win though. It was just a pre-schmuckety. And they were kind of looking to head out pretty early there after their run on Saturday. They were going to leave their trailer up at the UD Motorsports farm there and head back up to Wisconsin so they can go back to Fort Recovery here. So
gotcha.
They didn't. They kind of boogied there on Saturday night. And by the time got to see them there, and the schmuckety was all put away, and so we didn't get but we'll make up for it this weekend. We'll have a celebration.
Just see if you can figure out what the mix is. Like, is it
the ratio? I don't know. They'll tell you what it is, but they won't tell you the ratios. That's
what I need to know so that I can make my own. And I know you have to have crushed ice, but I don't know when I'm going to see them. Maybe Bowling Green, but I would like to have some schmuckety.
And the sun drop. The sun drop. I don't know if they have that here in Southern.
Oh yes. It's not hard to come by. We can find it.
And love.
Okay. Yes. Sun drop and love. See, now I know we didn't have sun drop up in New York. New York didn't see sun drop, so that was an interesting. But going back to the Pro Stock class on Saturday night, I just want to give a shout out to the Browns, Denny Brown, Elijah. They have really that tractor. They've run the Grand National circuit this year, and they have really, a lot of tracks that, haven't been to, and they've done a really great job here early on the season. And Elijah's kind of, when he's on hand, he kind of takes over the driving, and then he goes into crew chief mode there. But it was, they had a good run this weekend. And, Brent Meyer laid down a monster pass there on Saturday night. That was a tough one to beat there. And, Elijah came up short there, number 2 spot. And then Schramix, everybody saw their damage after Toma, and, with the crank breaking, and they got that back together, laid down a nice run there to fill out the top 3 there on Saturday night. So that was good to see. I always like to see competitors, after having a tough week of put things back together, see them have a good run. So that was good to see. So.
Well, and how about Doug Theobald? Like, we got to talk about that.
Well, yeah. Well, we were working our way up that way, and yes, that was Friday night's unlimited class. Both unlimited classes, really. We saw that in Toma on Saturday night. Just an excellent class up there, and then coming into Chapel Hill, both classes on Friday and Saturday night. Doug Theobald taking the big win there on Friday night, and Adam Bauer on Saturday night. And
now, is the stat correct? Like, it had 40 years?
It's actually, when I figured it out, it was John Heilman with the Old Red, and he had won a pull in Fresno, California, with the Old Red 3-engine tractor. It would have been right around March, April time that they were out in California, but that was the last 3-engine unlimited win right there. So yeah, which was actually kind of funny because John had a couple back to back, and then Sonny Owens, if you remember the old Harwood Honker, that was the 3 Allen Root Ford engines. He had won one earlier in the year when they went out to California, but that was the last time that a 3-engine tractor had won, and that was 40 years ago. So that's pretty cool how it, almost 40 years to the date there. But
that's awesome.
But congratulations to the Wicked team. They, Doug getting that big victory. That was pretty awesome to see, and laid down an awesome pass.
And then Mason was in the pull-off Friday night too.
Yep, right? Mason qualified for the pull-off there on Friday night, but like we said, didn't unfortunately get to run the pull-off there with the rain. And so Vaughn Bauer debuted that new mini sled there at Chapel Hill, and talked to him Friday afternoon there and kind of went through the whole sled. And he told me flat out, he said, Dan, there's no difference with this sled between any other, I think he said 39. This was number 39 that they have built between minis and big sleds there in Peyton, Iowa. So I know he had said they were during the winter there, they were working on number 38 for, I think that mini sled went overseas, I think he said. And then they built this one here, this. And which actually, he said they've had it built for quite a while, and they just had it sitting in the corner, not welded up or nothing, and then they put it back together. So that was.
Is it black?
It's like a black greenish, kind of like maybe black with green tints to it, kind of thing. It's, I know the lights were green. I remember the lights being green down there, but yeah, looks pretty sharp.
It looked almost gray on TV, like just in. Was probably
what would you call that? Flat, like a matte black kind of thing. Matte black, I would say, would be kind of like Jim Otte's old Corvette. Remember the old matte black? But yeah, that was. So they debuted that this weekend, and that was pretty impressive. With the new mini sled, and Larry Peterson, Mr. Chapel Hill, win number 10 down there. It's just unbelievable how that truck hooks up down there. It's just. It's a piece of art, really, when you watch him go down there. And, we got of course, we give a shout out to Brian Gouza, Mr. Schmuckety there with the big win. Test puller on both nights by the luck of the draw. And on Saturday night, laid down a 320 run and held everybody off, boy, and they went after him. And Lindsay was second. Troy Arndt having one heck of a season. He's right there in the points, number 2, and he had another good finish there. So yeah, it was pretty impressive to see the way things. And then super stock diesel truck Shane Kellogg won the exhibition there on Saturday night. He, what a difference from Friday night to Saturday night. All the trucks didn't run on Friday night with the rain, but on Saturday, he came out and he bounced a little bit on Friday, but Saturday there was no bounce. the Trump truck looked like old Trump truck out there. He laid down a picture perfect run and took the win for that exhibition. So that was pretty neat.
Chapel Hill crowds on par, like with the usual.
Saturday night was gigantic. Saturday was a huge crowd. There was people, you know, the down, you know, where people bring their chairs, the seat, you know, settle, you know, what do you call it? Bring along seating, I guess you would call it.
Sure.
That was right to the max. And there was a whole bunch of people that stood, like I say, in the soccer field on the other side watching the big screen. So you could, you know, where all the vendors and stuff are.
Sure.
They set up a big screen facing that way, and there was a bunch of people just milling around that area there too. So there was, yeah, they did very well for Saturday night. Friday night was, I would say, on par with your typical Friday night crowd, and of course with Mother Nature being, you know, in the area. So
yeah, you got a rain before the show or right at the start of the show, and
right when we were ready to get going, they brought the tarp out, and tarp was out a couple times throughout the night, and you know, but it was good though. It was good, a good weekend there. And like I said, you know, just a shame that the diesel superclass ended like it did, because it was, you know, you had two of the best there, you know, laying down two big runs, and just you know, haven't had a tie. And it's been, I was looking back on that. I think the diesel superclass was the last ones to have a tie, and I think it was Esden, and I can't remember who else that had a tie back. I think it was 19 was the last time they had a tie in that class. So it's been a while, but tough break for Roger Peterson with the John Deere coming off the big win at Toma, and then come right here in Chapel Hill, the first hook, I think he was, or second hook, because Brandon was first hook, and he came out and wrecked a bunch of stuff, and he headed for home. So he was out of there on Saturday. So
and they had a new debut of the Belfans driver, right?
Yes, Tina got behind the wheel, and Mom got behind the wheel. She'd been running a drag car, a 68 Camaro she's had, and she had some video of that. We looked at the afternoon there, and so she was ready to get behind the wheel, and she did a great job. Camille did a great job driving her tractor in the Pro Stock class. She made a nice run there on Saturday night with it, and yeah, so it was. And then the minis, the Sheltons were talking to Grayson in the afternoon on Friday. He had said they pretty much had run the course with their old tires, so they have to try to figure out these new tires, and they didn't want Camille to run the tractor at all on the weekend there. So they went ahead and Grayson drove both tractors on Friday, and then Reese drove them both on Saturday. So just trying to get the bugs out and try to figure out these new tires. So I think everybody's in that same kind of boat. I think most of the new tires have run out, or the old tires have run out, and now everybody's trying to get these new ones figured out. And it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. So
your favorite storyline from Chapel Hill this weekend?
My favorite storyline, I would have to say, well, I mean, Larry Peterson. I mean, I think he could go right down there right now, back up to a sled and win down there again. I mean, just it's amazing how that truck just, you know, I mean, newer truck too. I mean, you know, that truck there is 2 years old. This is the second year for that truck, and still, you know, just able to go down there and just keep racking up them wins. I think that's the impressive part. I'd also have to say, you know, with the unlimited class too, I think the unlimited class really is the shining star this year with, you know, very competitive. Benedict leading the unlimited class with his modified chassis, really. And that tractor is laid down some really nice runs. So, yeah, I would say those would be my two big stories from that event. Would be Larry Peterson with his continued dominance down there, and the unlimited class really, you know, showing well. And, you know, Billy Beer's right in the mix as well with the points there. And so it's going to be, you know, on to the next week.
Outlaws, of course, a busy weekend there. I don't know all the highlights by any means at all, but I can tell you from watching social media and checking the results quickly that Thermal Thunder turbine,
yes,
got another win, and that young man's just he's got himself a little bit of a heater going right now, and he's wheeling that tractor for Dad and Granddad quite well. So, congrats for sure to the Petch family on that, and and Kaysen's doing a good job. And I think Donald Nelson may have won on a 2-wheel drive side, if I looked right.
Yep. I saw that one there. And, they've got Wayne, Nebraska coming up this weekend, which trying to think here. Somebody was telling me that it's not too far from Wisner. Like it's only like 20, 25 miles from Wisner. And, but I guess big pull there. That's one of their big pulls there, Wayne, Nebraska, coming up this weekend. Be able to see that one. I think we've got 15 different pulls on Full Pull Live this week. So if you have rain or you're not able to go anywhere, just hit the recliner and just start watching different pulls. And a lot of people don't realize you don't have to watch them all at one time too. You can go back and watch them whenever you want.
I buy sheep from a family out in Nebraska. They live in Seward, and they posted a recap of their county fair this past week, and their son Miles had shown some sheep and had done very well there. And then in the midst of all of that, they posted a picture of the tractor pull, a video of the tractor pull. And ironically enough, Dan, it was the naturally aspirated 2-wheel drive truck that you sent an image of to Jeremy and I from Rock Valley when we were debating whether or not it was the old Revenger frame, and body. So, and I thought it was hooked to the Red Rock sled. So I don't know if that was Lee, Nebraska, or David City, or what town that officially fell on to be that they were at for their fair. But pretty awesome, like I said, to just see that as part of their update.
Yeah, I would have liked to have had the chance to talk to more of them guys. I really didn't get with that, because they have at Rock Valley, you've got like some guys park across the street in another field, like their pit area. And that's where a lot of the naturally aspirated 2-wheel drives were. And I didn't get a chance to get over there, and I would have liked to talk to quite a few of them to see, because I'm sure there were some beauties in that field. I mean, there was, there was some old 2-wheelers I'm sure we would have recognized, start talking with them guys. But yeah, it was pretty neat, a neat class, it's one of those classes that you don't get to see. And, that light limited modified class, we saw the Hogs made their debut of their new tractor this past weekend. That's a pretty cool entry there, and that'll be neat to see somewhere down the road, that new light limited mod they built. And a lot of people had thought, it's going to be another Elky Super, and nope, they went out and did that. So that'll be neat to follow here throughout the summer.
Absolutely.
Heading on down the road this week then. So each one of us go in a different direction. Jeremy's going to be in Meade County. Those of you that are in the Louisville metro area, Meade County, obviously about 40 minutes or so from downtown Louisville, 45. Right. Dano gets to sweep to the second largest fair in the country, I think it is still, or one of the top 5. And
yeah, they battled. I know they battled with Hamburg, New York, the Erie County Fair when I was up there in Buffalo. And one time they were number 1, and it's a couple million people a year go through them county fairs. It's crazy how many people they get. And the Elkhart Fair was one of them that always battled with that one, and so that was always interesting to see how they did that.
We follow up from there, and obviously I have Altamont, and on Saturday Evansville, Vanderburgh County on Friday. I get to be involved with that event, and I think as you look at the schedule from the Outlaws perspective, they've got Wayne? You said Wayne, Nebraska is coming up.
Wayne, Nebraska is coming up.
Sac City, Iowa.
Yep, they got. I'm trying to think.
Platte City.
Yeah, Platte City was one of them. They had the Heartland Series too. The Heartland Series, I want to say, had Lamar's, Iowa, was one of them. They had Platte City, Wayne, Sac City, Pierce, I think, and then Brett. I think it started Wednesday night. I think they had one. I think they had one every night starting Wednesday.
Or Britt, Iowa, it is, right?
Yeah, Britt, Iowa.
And then they're part of the Freeport show too, right?
Oh yeah, the mods are their Outlaw mods are running in Freeport tomorrow night. I think it is Wednesday night.
And Wayne Bunnage debuted his 2-engine.
Did he? Okay.
Mod this past weekend. I think it was his debut, from what I can tell. He was at Warrensburg.
Oh, okay. So yeah, his new 2-engine entry there.
Well, and
pretty awesome. I guess he was second. He was right behind Kaysen. Let me see if I can't dig this up and tell you exactly. But I'm pretty sure he was right behind Kaysen in that modified class. Yeah, it's called Stronger Than the Storm.
Stronger Than the Storm. Okay.
And he went 353 and 41, and Kaysen went 363 and 84. So Wayne was second, and then Donald Nelson was third with the Bullbuster. So right there in the midst for a debut, if that was indeed the debut, which I think it was, but pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty neat to see. And I think that's going to be, like we talked about, they're just going to see more and more trackers start joining that class, I think is going to be the way that's going to roll. And it seems to be. I mean, they put on a good show. They really do. They have been the class to watch here. And, of course, the Unlimiteds have been impressive. Like I say, they've 12 of them were out in Chapel Hill. We'll see how many make it out the Fort Recovery this weekend, but it should be interesting.
Yeah. Well, two big things happening in addition for me, the Meade County Fair this weekend that I want to kind of note. First things first, the Greenville, Indiana Historic Preservation Commission has, kind of helped me over the course of many, many years. I'll just, I went to a meeting on a random weeknight 6 or 7 years ago and said, hey, I understand that there's a committee and a historic preservation development here in Greenville, which I love and I think is a great idea. They had already had a couple of historic markers that they had placed around town that were privately funded. They weren't funded by the state of Indiana, so they weren't a government entity. This was something that the town of Greenville privately funded, and I had noticed that they basically had recognized John B. Ford, who is a early resident of Greenville and one of the inventors of plate glass, and so they kind of have him as one of the elder statesmen of Greenville and the founder of the town and what have you. And so I approached them and said, hey, Thunder Valley, where many truck and tractor pulls were had over the course of the late 70s, from 1978 to around probably 1994 or 5, maybe even a little bit later, maybe even into the early 2000s, because I know for a while there they still were pulling like diesel trucks there. I remember the year that I got married in 2003, I went to a diesel show there. But I approached them and I said, I think we need to recognize this site. I think it's hallowed ground. It has launched the careers of several superstars in our sport, namely our father. Dan Christiani built the track there for many, many years. Mike Witt cut his teeth there. There were lots and lots. Randy Petro has been there over the course of years. Tony Tatum, you name it. TNT, and some of the Owensboro guys sent things there to test to see how things would go. But luckily, as luck would have it, they saw my vision. We raised the money with the help of private donorship and some public businesses. And on Saturday, this coming Saturday, the 26th, we will dedicate the historic marker in Greenville Park at 1:00 in the afternoon. So if you are close to the Louisville area and you want to head on out there, feel free. It'll start at 1:00 sharp. There'll be some nostalgic, the people will have pictures, and the people who used to go to the pulls will be there. They may even have some vehicles and some old pullers, sort of a rusty tailgate, if you will. So if you're up that way and you'd like to come join us, please do that. 1:00 on the 26th. And then the other thing I want to tell you guys, and we'll see, fingers crossed, but the rumor is that I get to warm a four-wheeler this weekend at Brandenburg.
Nice.
It doesn't happen unless there's video evidence, just so you know.
I'm with you. I understand that, and I will make sure that if it does happen, someone has it on video. But I have it on good authority that I'm supposed to be warming a four-wheel drive this weekend.
Now, are you going to unveil who that might be, or are you going to keep that under the vest?
It's a truck out of Michigan.
I know exactly who it is, but I won't say.
And it's a very therapeutic truck.
Okay, I got you.
It's a
Dodge. You had told me already, but I didn't know if you wanted to unveil it. So I
we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Time constraints. I get it. Things happen, but the rumor is that I get to have sort of a master class in understanding what it's like to warm a four-wheel drive truck this weekend.
Very cool. That'll be neat.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I got to miss that Greenville dedication, because that that's something that sounds really, really cool, and not just down the road from me, and just, amazing that all took place at where it did.
Yeah, well, and it's funny how full circle, you are a New Yorker and you end up now living closer than Miles and I to one of the most hallowed pulling tracks on the face of the planet.
Yeah. Unbelievable. And
but
and actually, I told my neighbor about it. He lives across the street. He's actually going to Brandenburg both shows.
Very nice.
He was, had asked about. He went to the farm show. He's been to the farm show a bunch of times, and he was curious about what other big pulls are on. I'm like, I told him during the winter, I said, you got to go to Brandenburg. And here it is. So I sent him all the info and told him about, Thunder Valley. And so it's.
Why not? And I will grab each of you guys a T-shirt. I know you won't be able to make it, so I will make sure each of you gets a commemorative. There's one color, it's black, but they will have T-shirts for sale for the Historic Commission will be selling. They're sort of reminiscent of the old Miles, but it's a newer design. So
cool.
I will make sure I grab each of you guys a commemorative Thunder Valley T-shirt while I'm there Saturday.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Yeah. And once again, we'll have all the lists will be unveiled on fullpull.us. You can go there and they'll have both the Fort Recovery as well as the Brandenburg list on there. I believe usually, right around before our show starts, kicks off, usually Wednesday afternoon, they'll have them up there. And then, like I say, all kinds of 15 events this week on Full Pull Live as far as live streams go. And you got the big Grand Nationals this weekend out there in Fort Recovery as well as Brandenburg, Outlaw pulling. So, lots of pulling going on this weekend, and that's pretty much it, guys. We're ready to keep on pulling here.
I'm excited. Let's do this.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. Well, you guys,
thanks for watching.
Weekend. Yeah, thanks for watching.
And good luck to you in Goshen, and then Fort this weekend. Miles, good luck with your first live stream. I think you'll have a great time doing that. I sure enjoy it, and I know you will too.
Yeah, some that Evansville pull is a legendary pull, and it's amazing how many people they get there. That is a big show down there. Jeremy, Meade County, got that going.
Yep,
fill that place up. The probably the best venue for watching a tractor and truck pull is Brandenburg, Kentucky. So
I enjoy it a lot, and like I say, we talk a lot about our dad, being who he was in the sport. But for me, it's really neat to once a year be able to interview somebody and somebody come back and say, "Hey, Jeremy, I hope I get to talk to you." It's pretty cool. It doesn't happen a lot, but it really is heartwarming to experience that and be a part of the winner's circle there for sure.
And of course, the great story that you always tell about the rain there and your dad taking you guys and your dad getting in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
One of my favorite stories. Yes.
That was not a good night.
No, that was not a good look for Walter, for certain, at all.
But yeah, so that
the fried bologna on the horizon. Let's do this. I'm ready.
There you go. All right. Well, for everybody, thanks for watching. And anybody, any ideas? Met a lot of people in Chapel Hill. Said they watched our show. That's always good to hear. And got any ideas? Let us know. And we'll see you all next week.
Thanks, guys.
We'll see you guys.